It's your girl Leah, back once again with another video. Before I get into the video, I want to say thank you all to the new subscribers. If you don't know, or if you haven't watched the previous videos, my name is Aaliyah. As you can tell by everything, it's Leah's World. That's me. I have a daughter, Amaya. She's 1, I'm 20. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for joining in my journey, wherever this journey is going to take me. Thank you all. You guys are amazing. I hit 32 subscribers in 2.5 weeks. Like, that's amazing. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. Everybody knows what's going on with the whole R. Kelly situation. His wife finally coming out after so many years. And, you know, there's kind of mixed emotions as to why you're coming out now. Why are you still singing his songs? My opinion, you know, I don't understand why you waited so long to come out. I watched some of her interviews and the stories she told and all this and that, and I did my own research, of course, about the situation. I recently just got out of a very serious relationship, and I wanted to know more about her story, more about the research that she had did. So I did look up, you know, domestic violence, domestic abusive relationships. And with that being said, this is not to put anybody down. This is not to call anybody out. This is simply to share my story. You can't always define what someone else may define as an abusive relationship. You can't always say, well, all she did was yell at you, or all he did was just curse when he got mad. To them, that might be abuse. You can't justify what hurts a person and what doesn't hurt a person. You're not that person. You can't say, oh, that didn't hurt you, or it wasn't that bad, or you could have left. Situations aren't always as easy to leave as people may think. And it takes, you know, you going through it to actually understand, like, wow, it's really not that easy. My story instantly knew, okay, I do want to try with you. I do want to try and be in a relationship with you. That was, boom, right off the bat. It resulted in a marriage. And carry on. Everything was fine, everything was okay, you know, puppy dog stage. So carry on. You know, little things he would do irritated me. It was a job situation. It was a clothes situation. Cleaning situation, it irritated me. You know, little things would irritate me. We had our first argument. The first sign that I missed of abuse was him provoking me to be angry. And he'd be so upset or so irritated with me about whatever I said, whatever I did, however I said it, you know, whatever, that he would push me until I got angry. And once I got angry, then he would try to de-escalate the situation. As soon as he saw, like, okay, that angers her. Well, I didn't really mean it like this, or, you know, it doesn't have to go through this. Why are you cursing at me? Why are you raising your voice at me? And it was like the tables were turned around on me as if I had caused it. And some arguments, of course, were intentional. I mean, you being in a relationship, you're going to make your mate mad sometimes, purposely, unintentionally, whatever the case may be. It got to the point where we wouldn't talk. We would be in the same house. Wouldn't say a word to each other unless it involved my kid. We weren't even together mentally, even in the beginning. There were times when I wanted to walk out, but I always remembered, always knew, you know, I wouldn't want him to walk out on me. So I'm not gonna walk out. So I never left. Moving on, our first big blowout. So he always kept his phone on silent. And this was one of the times where we weren't really talking, but his phone was going off. Ding, 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 ding. Like, it was just something constant. And it was like he wanted me to hear it. because he never had his phone on loud. It was always on silent. And so I remember my words were, if you're going to cheat, go do it somewhere else. And that pushed him all the way over the edge, I guess. And he started yelling and cursing and everything and clapping in my face and screaming, and it caused me to give the same reaction back at that time. The first time, he packed his stuff and he walked out on me and my kid, and he didn't come home for about a week. So fast forward, he's back home. We're talking, I guess you could say, trying to work it out. I remember the argument right before he left again, and it was an argument about, respecting my time. When you're married and you have a kid, you come home at a decent time. That was the first part of it, and it resulted in the tables being turned around again, as to saying, you don't trust me, you don't like my family because that's who I was out with. You don't accept me and my family as who we are. You don't do this, you don't do that, without any explanation or without any reasons. And then you saying, well, you knew where I was. Like, okay, that's still not respecting the fact that you should be home at a respectable time. So that was the first part of it. The next part, he did it again, like a week or two or a couple weeks later. And that time he texted me, but it was like he purposely stayed out. He purposely made excuses. Oh, well, this happened and I'm not going to leave them, so I need to stay here. So I'm not coming home when I said I was. It'll be later. More messages came. I stayed up a little bit later, like an hour later. But messages came at like 11 and 12 o'clock in the morning, knowing that I'm not going to hear them. Knowing that when I'm asleep. I don't hear my phone unless it's like constant. I didn't get any phone calls. I just got, I'll be home later than what I said. That really, really bothered me, because I did not know where he was. Did not know anything. The next morning, we had a family event that we went to. There was somebody that went with us, this family event. And this person, she's not my blood, put it that way. And she knew where my husband was the night before. And my husband has not said a word to me. My husband has not said good morning to me. My husband has not said, I'm sorry. My husband has not said nothing, not a thing to me. So, of course, I did not say anything either. You knew it bothered me the last time, and you did it again. It got to the point at this family event, my husband didn't even get close to me. He didn't want to be around me. When I walked near him, he walked the opposite way. When I even said anything to him, he acted like it was a problem. And so my emotions got involved, and I blew up. And that's when my husband made me realize that I really didn't mean much to him, because he told me blood is thicker than water. And in that moment, like, regardless of my dad telling me to be quiet, just calm down, just wait, talk it out later. When he said blood is thicker than water, that triggered so much in me. Like, it shut me down, but it triggered me on the inside. So moving on, we moved past that without even resolving it. Other arguments happened to the point I sometimes locked me and my kid in the bathroom and cried on the bathroom floor while she took a nap, just to get away. Sometimes I would cry out loud and hoping that he would stop banging at the door, telling me to unlock the door, telling me to stop crying. You're not even crying. You're just faking like a victim. You're acting like somebody hurt you and you're hurting yourself. Getting teary-eyed right now, because not because I'm hurt, but it's the fact that I stayed. Like, I would lock myself in the room with my kid. I would just sit there and pray. I would call his family member. I would call my family members. I would call friends. anybody just to calm me down. Called on God so many times. Times that I did call on God, I didn't have a clear mindset. I didn't have a subtle mind, a peaceful mind to understand what God was saying. I know God heard my cry now. He's showing me that he heard my cry. Fast forward, he left again. This time, he left for a longer period, for 2 months. And this time, he did not pack his stuff in front of me. The next morning, we were getting up for church, and he says, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to stay home. So I said, okay. Well, let me know if you need anything. I'll bring it home. Me and Maya are going to go to church. And that's what we did. Me and Maya got dressed, and we went to church. During the service, his family member got up and left. And something in me was like, he's leaving. So I texted him and I said, are you going to be at the house when I get back? He said, yes, I'm coming back. I said, okay. I was terrified. Like, my hands, my feet, my stomach was queasy. I was trembling. I was scared that he was leaving again. So his family member came back. They were together. And he said not one word to me. I had already knew that he was leaving in my head. It's like he's gone. After church, I went home. I went straight home. And when I walked in the door, I didn't see a bag. So I said, okay, maybe I overthought it. And something was like, no, check the room. As soon as I walked in the room, the bag was sitting on the bed and my stomach dropped. Because that's the second time I've seen this bag packed. I gathered myself. I shared a few tears. And I gathered myself. And I texted him and I said, you're leaving again. And he said, we will talk when I get home. He came home. He said not one word to me. He started packing again. And at this point, it was kind of, I was trying to say and do anything I possibly can to save that marriage. It should have gotten to me. Because my kid woke up. And she was just wanting me. She wasn't, because I wasn't yelling. I wasn't screaming. He wasn't screaming. I was just talking. And she wanted me. He said, your baby wants you. This entire marriage, this entire relationship, he hated when I said, oh, look at my kid. Oh, look at my baby. And he's always like, your kid, you act like you're the only one who takes care of her. But in that moment, he said, your baby wants you. And at that point, I was like, my baby. And I moved out of his way. I said nothing else. And I said, you know what? I'll help you pack. And I did. I got his toothbrush. I got his toothpaste. I got his shampoo. I got his lotion. I got his little scrubby thing out the shower. Everything. You want to go? I even got your medication for you. You want your comb? You want your brush? You want your razors? You want your clippers? Take it. And I packed it up in a bag for him. I let him go. At that moment, I had a sense of peace. But then it kicked in. He's gone once again. And he tried to use me by saying, while he was gone, he tried to use me by saying, I don't want to commit adultery. I don't want to sin. So we should still have sex. Because we're still husband and wife. On and on and on. I cried myself to sleep because he left with saying, that I'm disgusted. That he's disgusted with me. And all the hurtful things just came to my head all in one time. And I cried myself to sleep so many nights. And I would put my daughter to sleep. And then I would walk out. I would go in the living room and cry. I would write. I would pray. It's like, it still hurts. Regardless of what I'm doing, it still hurts. And he came back again. This time, he vowed, I won't leave again. We vowed, no more arguing, let's talk it out. If we can agree, let's just agree to disagree. Let's go to counseling. Everything cool, everything gravy. I talked to my family members, apologized to them for walking out. Everything was falling into place. And then one night we had a conversation about my kid. And it was a conversation that needed to happen. From that conversation, everything blew up. A point where it was turned around to me again. I always think about me. The world revolves around me. I don't think about nobody but myself. Things were said, actions took place. After a while, you get tired of saying, I accept your apology. And that's what happened. He apologized. And I said, I'm not ready to accept your apology. Not at this moment. I did something with our business, and I let him know. I said, hey, I did this just to let you know. I put it up there. And he says, you only talk to me when you're happy about something. And that irritated me because I was like, this is our business. What are you talking about? This is about the both of us. And I said, okay, well, never mind. Just forget it. And then he says, so what do you want to do? And at that point, I was like, it's over. If it has to be a question, it's over. So I told him, you tell me what you want to do. And he said, this makes you happy. I said, what makes me happy? And I never got a text back. He didn't answer the phone. He sent me straight to voicemail, and he texted me, what? And I went to the bathroom, and most of his personal products for his face and for his skin was gone. His toothbrush, toothpaste, gone. His underwear, his t-shirts, gone. Most of his clothes and shoes, gone. So I texted him, and I said, you left again. And in our vows that I was talking about earlier, we vowed that we would never leave again. And I told him, if you leave again, this relationship is over. And everything was turned back around on me. And he says, I knew you was with somebody else. I always knew it. So now that you're kicking me out, what are you going to do? When I tell y'all, I was like, bro, what? I low-key laughed. I laughed at that. I was like, you gotta be, really, really out there to really be like, there's somebody else. Who? It's over with now. It wasn't until all these allegations about R. Kelly and I looked into it that I realized that I was in a domestic abusive and a domestic violence situation in a marriage. Why didn't I leave? I don't believe in divorces. I believe that when you get married to stay married. You work it out. You do whatever it takes. And I look back on it now, and it kind of hurts, that I didn't leave. But I can't change it, so I'm not going to feel bad about it. But it's like, why didn't you leave? You had every reason to leave. Being in a domestic violence marriage or relationship doesn't always mean that this person is putting their hands on you. There were times where physical altercations were exchanged, but it wasn't to the point of me being like, he slapped me or he punched me. It would be more like he pushed me. He shoved me really hard. I slapped him because he was screaming and yelling in my face. He put his hands in my face, yelling and screaming, cursing, telling a person that they should do this and shouldn't do that, or just making them feel little, making them feel less of what they are. Domestic violence doesn't have a set picture. It's not always somebody putting their hands on somebody. It's not always punching and slapping and kicking and throwing things. Sometimes it's verbally. It comes in forms of where that person makes you scared to talk to people that you're supposed to be close with for any reason at all. Family members, child's mother, child's father, best friend, that person makes you feel like it's not right to have communication with that person because of this, that, and the other. It comes in forms of, you should talk to me about your problems instead of your mom, instead of your dad, instead of your sister, instead of your cousins, instead of your brothers, instead of your anything. You should come to me and me only, because you're my wife, because you're my husband. It comes in all different forms. People telling their story is not easy. And, people want to think that, oh, she's just saying this so people can feel bad for her, or he's just saying this so that being a man or whatever. She just wants money, she just wants attention. Like, no. It feels so good to finally realize, why am I hurting so much? When guys talk to me now, why do I stray away? It feels good to share it. It feels good to understand why you can't. Whatever you can't, it feels good to understand why you can't. You can't justify a person's abuse and justify that a person shouldn't feel this way or shouldn't feel that way, or they shouldn't call it abuse, because that relationship was very toxic and it was very abusive. It was very controlling, even without him saying, oh, you can't talk to this person because I don't trust them. It doesn't always be like that. Sometimes it's, well, I see that you're on FaceTime, but you should come in here and watch TV with me. But I'm in the middle of a conversation. But I'm your husband. Since that relationship, of course, legally, I'm still in the marriage. It doesn't happen overnight. As that relationship ended, I see the hurt. I see the pain. I don't feel the hurt. I don't feel the pain. It's just sad to see and look back and say, wow, I stayed through all that. I really did not realize the signs. Wow. Wow. Well, it's a little scary, especially since I have her. It just feels like I should have been smarter to leave earlier, and I wasn't. And I put everything at risk, everything on the line to make it work with him. And that's the part that really gets me. It's not that it hurts me, it's just, it gets to me. Like, I should have knew better. I should have understood better. But like I said, I was praying, but I was praying to talk. I wasn't praying to listen. I'm glad I finally got peace. When he left again, I didn't try to fight for my marriage. I have moved on. Don't worry about my relationship status. It's none of your business. That's what it is right now. I'm living my life. I have peace. And don't worry, my baby girl is well taken care of all around. She is taken care of. And what y'all fail to realize, I know me and I've had things to say, you fail to realize I'm grown. I'm sorry to be so harsh, but I'm grown. Yeah, I depend on my parents. My parents are my lifeline. My parents are everything. Without them, I wouldn't even be this happy. I wouldn't be content. I wouldn't have peace. I would be miserable. I would be stuck. Wouldn't know what to do. But because I have strong parents who love me, who support me, who care about me, yeah, I'm gonna depend on them. But I'm still grown. You get up every morning and I go to work. And if I don't go to work, I'm going to church. Me, yes, mommy. If I want to move on, if I want to talk to somebody else, if I don't want to talk to somebody else, if I want to get a different job, if I want to move places, if I want to get a different car, that has no concern to you. Aaliyah knows and have learned, so don't try to reteach me a lesson that God has already taught me. If God taught me, I should trust and believe. I know. I understand it. I get it. Just pray for me. That's what you need to do. Just pray for me and pray that God continue to speak to me and through me, that he can use me to be a vessel for somebody else. And it's not to bash anybody. Like I said, it's not to put anybody down. It's not to nothing. This is to tell my side of the story, but don't try to tell me when to move on, how to move on, where I should move on, who I should move on with. No. When I tell y'all my story, I'm not asking you to be like, oh, what do I do next? Nah. If you or anybody you know is struggling with domestic violence and is struggling to get out of that relationship, is struggling to see the signs of domestic abuse, I'm gonna put a phone number right here. But just get help. Don't stay in a situation. Especially if there are children involved, that's even more reasons. It's not the reason to stay. Just get help. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. Thank you all so very much. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.